is James Saul. I'm 25. I'm a realtor. I was born in 1992 to parents Roger and Alma Saul. My mother's from the Philippines and my dad's from New York. I have a brother, Michael. He's 2 years younger. And then I also have a half-sister who's 10 years older. Jesus was very important to our family growing up and still is. And we grew up going to church every Sunday, and once a week we would have a study in our home. So we'd invite everyone to come and study with us, and Mom would cook for everybody, and they still do that every Friday night. I started training in martial arts at age 4, karate. This is my black belt. Has my name on it, Saul. And on this side is our dojo, the Nijute Budokai, or 20-Hand Warrior Way Association, or martial arts group. When I was 6 years old, we all went on a trip to the Philippines to go visit Mom's side of the family. And it was neat because, I got to meet a whole bunch of family members every day and go to the beach, which is not like here, But it was also my first encounter with real poverty, and seeing skinny, hungry children. And I remember back then I wanted to do something to help, and now it's great because I have a pastor in the Philippines, an uncle pastor, and together we've helped build a farm. So he does the children's feeding, and it used to be every month they would come and feed kids, but now it's every week. And so the farm's been growing, and that's been doing well for them. When I was 6 years old, I remember, asking my mother, how do you not go to hell? And she told me, you need to accept Jesus as your personal Lord and Savior. So I said, okay, and we said this special prayer to invite Jesus into my heart. And then she said, well, now you need to get baptized. So we went and talked to the children's pastor lady, and we would meet up every week for a while, and we'd talk about it, and then my father baptized me. I was 10 years old, and we went to Spain, Italy, and France. And that was, first time to Europe, first time to the Vatican, and that used to be my favorite place before Istanbul. My first experience outside of Christianity, it was my friend Joe Nava's bar mitzvah. So I remember going to, the synagogue, the shul, and, prayers were said in Hebrew, not English, and prayers were directed towards, God, Creator, and not Jesus, So I figured, wow, I wonder if my ancestors prayed like this. I wonder if Jesus prayed like this. In high school, I was very dedicated to my traditional Japanese martial arts study, and by that time I was collecting black belts. I was at that level, so I was very focused on that. And if I wasn't at school, I was in the dojo. So college and high school, I was very involved with DECA, which was an association of marketing students. And 2 years I went to our international marketing conference. I'm 16 years old. I just got back from a family road trip vacation to the Four Corner States, Utah, Arizona, Colorado, New Mexico. And when we come back, it's like church camp, it just like finished too. So all my friends were back from camp. And there was one friend in particular who was like really cute, you know, like super cute. And I guess she thought I was cute too, so we started talking, and I was like, wow, I mean, I can go to church and hang out with this girl, but we don't go to the same school or anything. But I found out she was into ballet, so I started taking ballet classes with her. We had a way of combining our dance and martial arts into like a really unique crowd favorite kind of performance that people liked, so it was a good experience. University, I started out studying business from my DECA background, but after trying this internship called the Southwestern internship, I didn't like it, you know, so I came back and I had my whole summer ahead of me, and I thought, well, you know, now what? I had this plan for the summer to do this, and now I'm not doing that, and I still have the summer ahead of me. So I thought, let's go to the wilderness, you know, like Jesus and all our friends who, you know, when they need to spend time with God and pray, they go to the wilderness. So I tried that, and I ended up in Taos, New Mexico, which is up north from here, closer to Colorado. So when I was there, the abbot Casey kind of took me under his wing and taught me Buddha Dharma for 3 days. And so I was doing chores, watering plants, and setting up flowers for the shrine room and everything. And it was a beautiful experience. And at the end of it, I shaved my head and came home. And of course that shocked my mother and everybody, because I used to really like care about the way my hair looked and everything. But, you know, after that Buddhist experience, I realized that it wasn't as important as I was making it. So I just shaved it off and I buried it in the woods and came home and started this new life, I guess. The next semester at school, I changed my major to religious studies after a friend recommended that was the major with the least amount of math. Because in order to get to business school, I needed calculus, and I wasn't doing well in intermediate algebra, so calculus wasn't going to happen. So I started my religious studies, and that was great, being able to learn about exploring what other people had to say, and it was beautiful to see that there was more in common than not, and it was really a process of unlearning. You know, things you've been told your whole life that aren't so. And, you know, being able to look at the source materials and to be able to look scientifically, historically, you know, is this so? And, you know, based on, you know, what data we have. So it was very interesting. This is an Oxford Bible, which is what we use in religious studies, and also if I'm looking up definitions, I only use the Oxford Dictionary. This is a synopsis of the 4 Gospels. We use this in religious studies to compare the Gospels of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. And on this side is Greek, on this side is English. And we can see, you know, where there are similarities, where things are not there, where they might be different. As I was studying religion, different religions, you know, the more I got into Islam, the more Islam got into me, the more I started just gravitating towards that. You know, I thought it was like the easiest to understand, like the most light that I could find. My first time to the mosque, I brought my godbrother John. He was taking religious studies at C&M, and he brought me a list for his class. He said, I have to go somewhere that's not my tradition. And so why don't we go to the mosque? You know, neither of us have been there, and I haven't been there. And as a student of religion, I think it's important to at least like go and experience it. So we went and I loved it. I thought it was great. It was like everything I'd wanted in church. There were, no chairs and no girls. So it was nice and just, it was pure and undistracting. I loved it. So it had been a while, probably a little less than a year, and I was at a part in my school career where I wasn't sure if I was gonna pass. I wasn't sure if I was gonna make it to the next semester. So I knew I needed to pray though. I didn't go to church though. I didn't go to my parents. I didn't go to a Buddhist center. I went to the mosque for my second visit. It was Jummah or Friday prayer, and we all prayed together. And as I was leaving, like an older, real Muslim man, beard and hat and dress, and Assalamu alaikum. I'm like, walaikum salam. He's like, how long have you been Muslim? I'm like, I just did that, like, He's like, are you Muslim? I'm like, I don't know. He's like, well, it's like this. I'm a doctor. I write prescriptions every day, but ultimately healing comes from Allah. And if there's one source of healing, there must be one prescription. And so I was like, okay, I couldn't argue with that logic. So he calls another friend over. He said, oh, it's like this, if there's a car, there's a creator of that car, and that car comes with a manual with how best to use the car. And so if there's one creator and one manual, there must be one. And I'm like, okay, I get what you guys are saying, I agree with you. And so they were like, let's talk to Sheikh. So we go to talk to Sheikh, a leader of the community who studied Islam for at least 7 years. And we're waiting in his office. He's talking to a couple of brothers. And the second gentleman looks to me and he says, based on what we've talked about, based on what I've told you, are you ready to take Shahada? I was like, sure, yeah, let's do this. He's like, really? He was very excited. I was like, yeah. And so they're like, Sheikh, will you give him Shahada? He said, you can do it. And just like that, he was like, kind of just like, go, you can do it. So we went out into their main prayer room, and Musa was there. Basically he said, like, I don't know you, but God knows the hearts. Shake my hand and repeat after me. He said, La ilaha illallah, la ilaha illallah, shahadu an Muhammadan Rasulullah, shahadu an Muhammadan Rasulullah. So he said, great, you're Muslim now, and so go home and take a shower, is what he told me. But of course he told me a lot of other promises too, not to eat the flesh of swine, to abstain from alcohol. But everyone's leaving, and I'm like, wait, I get a name. Like, I've learned about this in school. So I was like, what? I get a name, right? He said, tell us, what makes you different from your friends? I'm like, peace, man. Abdul Salam. I'm like, Abdul Salam. So that's my Islamic name, is Abdul Salam. I didn't tell my parents about that experience, but interestingly enough, the day of my Shahada was also my mom's birthday. So that was interesting. She found out later, I told her. The next semester, the only class I didn't withdraw out of was Islam, and I got a C. And that was my last semester in university, and I dropped out. My parents made me. My dad was trying to get me out of school way earlier. My parents don't agree with what I was studying. They wanted me to be Jesus, Jesus, only Jesus. That's all that matters is Jesus, and money and family money that's it. Everything else is irrelevant, everything else is stupid. So like if I wanted to study something else, they would have been okay with it. But because I was studying things that weren't Jesus, they didn't like that. And I dropped into real estate school. I had to take that test 5 times. I failed it 4 times. But on the 5th time, I passed with a 75, which is what you need to be a realtor. So now I'm a realtor, just work with the family all the time. So during real estate school, I sat next to this darling 70-year-old nurse who just decided she was gonna go become a realtor now. When I had told her that I had studied religions, and she asked me one morning, "Do you practice Buddhism?" I said, "Yes." And she said, "Have you heard of the Rigzen Dharma Center here?" I said, "No." And she was telling me how it was a Tibetan Buddhist center, and I'd always wanted to study Vajrayana, or Tibetan Buddhism. So, and there was a lama coming, a red robe monk, and special holidays. So she gave me the information, and I checked it out. And the first day I was there was Sagadawa, which is the festival of it's a 3-part festival: the Buddha's birth, enlightenment, and passing into parinirvana, like his crossing. And so that day was the Enlightenment Day. It felt like home. I met an awesome sister there named Lisette, and she invited me for special teaching. And she took me, and that's where I took refuge with him, and that's how I officially became a Buddhist. And my Buddhist name is Koncho Gawa, which means joy of the triple jewel, or the Buddha Dharma Sangha. Later that my friend's grandmother was Baha'i, Carmenia Alfonso, and when I asked her about the faith, she said, "Oh yeah, come and pray and hang out with us, but first, I have a book for you." So she told her daughter Jam, who's a very near and dear friend of our family. Her and my mom would hang out when my mom first came to the States, and so she's known me before I was born, so. It was perfect at the time because I just dropped out of religious studies and I had a lot of questions, and so it was Some Answered Questions by Abdul Baha, and that was my first Baha'i text. That night I was looking up where the Baha'i Center was. It turns out that their devotional was the next morning. So I was like, oh, I can make that. I walked in on a children's class, and they were singing a song about how unity is brighter than the light of the sun, and I was like, oh, that's cute, and the teacher's like, could I help you? I'm like, yeah, I've never been here, just wondering what's up. And she said, oh, well, they're doing the interfaith devotionals this way. And so she walked me to the room. Pam Brown handed me a devotional, which was different selections from different writings, and it's like, okay, I like this, this is just what I like. I'm like reading a little bit of everything. And so we're going around praying, and I recognize my friend Christopher Morgan, who, we used to go to baseball games when I was like 12. I'm like 23, 24 at the time now. So it'd been 12 years since I'd seen this man. And after devotional, I asked him, is your name Christopher Morgan? And he said, oh, why, who's asking? I kind of scared of like, oh, I'm James Saul, you and my dad used to do business together. He said, oh yeah, I remember you, but I wasn't 12 anymore, so. And he was the one who took me under his wing and taught me the Baha'i faith. He brought me to, Ayamiha, to Naruz, that's where I met Kambiz, and he invited me to the fireside. And he told me, you've seen what we're about, like, you know what this is. And he pulls out a declaration card. So I was like, give me that. So I took it from him and I signed it, and that was April 2nd, 2016. I remember saying that I really liked everyone's unity and diversity. Really, people who would look at you and, you knew that they loved you. They didn't know you, but you knew that they loved you for some reason, and you loved them, and that was the beautiful thing about it. My first Temazcal was right after my declaration, after I decided to become a Baha'i, after learning about Baha'u'llah and committing to his teachings.
So when we come into the Temescal, we come with our highest intentions for healing, because we are coming in contact with the breath of creation. There's no particular religion or dogma assigned to this path. It is open to everyone, because regardless of what we believe, and I personally honor all paths, we all come from the breath of the four winds. And so that is what we all have in common here, regardless of our particular faith that helps us grow and heal in this existence.
Like Michael said, this is open to everybody, so it's very much in line with our Baha'i values of unity and peace. You have to give up everything you know in order to really learn something. You can't learn something through the eyes you've had your whole life. This last Christmas Eve, we had a Jesus devotional fireside at our house, which was really nice. We invited friends and people who normally go to my parents' Bible study, and my parents and Baha'i friends. And in India every year for Christmas, they read the Sermon on the Mount, Matthew 5-7, which is, Jesus's teachings from Jesus. So we opened up with prayers, and it was beautiful because we had Baha'i friends there, and they're praying in Farsi. And my mom actually joined us for this, and she was reading out of the Psalms, and the Bible study leader was reading out of the Psalms, and it was great to just have all our friends around the table, and we're gonna do it this Christmas, inshallah. It doesn't matter your past. If your heart is searching, your answer will come like the breeze.